This is how you make bubble letters. Not the normal kind of bubble letters, but these are bubble letters that are super puffy. So with any lettering style, the first thing you want to start with is very lightly writing out the word, making the letters lightly with pencil. I'll use my daughter's name, Rachel. So I would start by, first of all, writing her name very lightly. Hopefully you can see that. So there's R. I'm going to do lowercase letters for the rest of her name. C, H, E, L. Okay, so there are my plans for how big I want the word and where I want them placed. Now, normal bubble letters would probably look something like this. This is probably how you might already do bubble letters, because some of you are going to say, I already know how to do bubble letters, Mrs. Greasack. So, you know, it might look something like this. If you have your name and then you just make some curvy lines going around them. And if you like the way that looks, you can certainly still do that. Like, that's totally fine with me. But what I want to show you is how to make super puffy bubble letters, okay? My letters are going to be like puffed out to the max. So instead of just following the letter like this with curvy lines, I'm going to make them really puffed out. Like if you blow up a balloon bigger and bigger and bigger, it starts getting more and more round. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a giant kind of circly shape. Now there's a corner right here on the R, so I'm slightly going to come around like that. And wherever there's an indentation, so it's going to go up, over, down, okay, normally it would look like that, I'm going to make it just barely indented. So it's just barely going to come in like that. And then wherever there's a space that's completely enclosed, I'm going to make that space super tiny. Super tiny. Look, it's so squished. Like that. And that makes your letter look much more puffy than it did before. So let's try it with the A. And then a tiny, tiny little hole. Now I'm going to make the space inside. I don't know if you noticed, but when I made the space, even though it was a tiny little hole, I didn't make it perfectly round. I made it straight right here and curved right there. And same thing over here. I'm going to just slightly make it straight on one side so that it still looks like an A. So there's the A. Here's going to be the C. Just barely indent it right there. Okay, don't go all the way in like we did before. And notice also how my letters are overlapping each other. I always start with the first one, and each other letter that I draw is kind of behind, tucked behind the other ones, because they're so puffy, they're running into each other. And now with the H, I'm not going to come all the way down to here like you might expect, like that. I'm going to just barely go in there and barely come down there. So there's my H, and here's going to be my E. Now I'm going to make the E kind of like the C, where you just barely have an indentation right there. Okay, but notice that the indentation is a little lower than it was for the C, because I need room for that little space, and that little space is going to be kind of flat on the bottom, curved on the top. And then the L finishes it off. And there you go, super puffy bubble letters.